welcome everyone. Lisa here for Whimsy Stamps. Thanks for taking the time to join me. So today, one layer card with Copic markers. I'm using the new Dragon New Year stamp set. I've stamped both of the dragons onto Copic Express blended cardstock, and I've stamped them with Memento Tuxedo black ink. Now, while I get started coloring, I want to tell you guys a few things real quick. The coloring process is quite long for this. It was over an hour's worth of coloring. So, of course, I had to condense this down. And I wanted to talk more about what I do to add some depth to my images rather than tell you, oh, I'm coloring with BG09 to add some shadows, and then I'm coming in with BG07 to blend that out. I didn't want this video to be just about that. I want to share some tips with you all on things that I do to help enhance the way my images look. I came in here with my BG09, BG07, BG05, right on down to BG01 to color this dragon. And he doesn't look terrible. I could color the rest of him and make a card and it would be okay. But I really want to add some depth to this image, and I don't want him to look quite so flat. To me, he looks a little bit flat. So I'm going to come in with my polychromo pencils. And I say, if you want to use Copic markers and colored pencils together, do it. There's no law that says you can't, so go for it. Now, the reason that I do it is I find that I have better control with my pencils. I love the look of the Copic markers, but for tiny, small areas, I find I do much better with my polychromos. So why not use the two of them together? Have the look of the Copic marker that I love and bring in the pencils to give me the depth and enhance my images the way that I like to. That's why I do that. If you've never tried it, I would recommend that you try the two of them together. Try colored pencils and alcohol markers together. So here I'm just coming in, and wherever I feel like it really needs to be darkened up, that's where I'm coming in, darkening up. You're going to see me doing this quite a bit throughout the video on both of the images. For this little guy, I wanted him to look like he was swimming in the punch bowl. So I'm just going to color over the whole part of him that's in the punch, and then I'm going to come in with some darker green polychromos and add some details to this. They're great for adding details. The Copic markers do have a fine nib on them, but let's face it, it's not as fine as a sharpened pencil. So I feel like I'm better with the pencils when it comes to adding details and as opposed to the Copic markers. But once again, I really love that look that the Copic markers has, that nice smooth look. I like that. So I just love mixing the two of them together. So here we're coming in, we're going to continue to color in all the punch areas with a yellow-green Copic marker. And I want to say this is a YG 21. Another tip I wanted to share with you, and I just literally discovered this while doing this video, was I needed to clean a nib from my marker. It was bad. So I grabbed a little jar of blender solution and swished it around in there. And when I did, it splashed a little bit of blender solution onto my dragon. So what I decided to do was to grab a tiny paintbrush, a very fine, small paintbrush, and I just dipped the paintbrush into the blender solution and started laying down tiny little circles across the dragon's backs. And it added such great texture to them. I love the look that it gave me. So break out your paintbrushes and dip it in that colorless blender solution to add some texture to your images. It works great. There you saw me, I was just creating like a counter so that the punch bowl was sitting on the counter. Now here in a second, you're going to see I wished I had gone a little bit higher with that because it's grounding that image. And you're going to notice that the glass on the left is still floating. But hey, maybe he's Peach Dragon. Who knows? But I didn't fret too much over it because He was coming along and I was happy with him. So I was like, you know what? It can't all be perfect. We're not gonna worry about it. I'm coming in now with my YG25, YG23, and YG21 to color this top dragon. These are some of my favorite yellow-green colors. I'm gonna go ahead, finish coloring him out, and you're gonna see me come in with those pencils and darken up areas again. I'm going to color the balloon with reds, and then I'm going to come in with a black pencil and create some shadow directly underneath this dragon. I also come in with my gold Jelly Roll pen and add tiny little polka dot in groups of 3 on the balloon. I use my cartoonist pen that I have. You hear me talk about that being so great for splatters. It's great for highlights as well. In fact, that's what it's made for. So I come in and touch in any little areas that I feel like might need a little highlight on them. I'll come in with that cartoonist pen and do that. Now that cartoonist pen has a real brush on it. It's like a paintbrush. So it's pretty cool. So there's where I dripped the blender solution onto the bottom dragon, and you can see the tiny little dots there. And I just said, you know what? I'm not getting upset about this. We're just going to make it work for us. And really, I tell people all the time, crafting is smoke and mirrors. It's like if you make a mistake, how are we going to cover this up? It's kind of like cake decorating. I say it all the time with cake decorating. It's smoke and mirrors. You know, you see these beautiful, beautiful cakes. 90% of that is Photoshop. The other 10% is smoke and mirrors. So here I am. I'm coming in with this balloon, coloring it in. And I'm using R29 to go ahead and color the whole balloon in. And then I'm going to come in with R59 to add a little bit of shadow under him. And you see how I left that white area there? I do that with balloons sometimes just to give it like a highlight area. And I'm going to come in with my cartoonist pen and go over that. So here's where I'm coming in with the dark colored pencil to add more shadow underneath him on that balloon. And I really feel like the pencils make a huge, huge difference in the way the images turn out for me. I love these little guys. They are so cute. And there I am with that cartoonist pen coming in, adding some highlight to that. Now, cartoonist pen adds texture as well. So that's a good thing. When it dries, it doesn't soak into the paper. It sits on top of the paper. It dries really fast too. So that's another positive thing about it. Once I finish the Copic coloring, which by the way, if you want to see the whole process without it being edited at all, you can go over to my website and I will have the coloring process over there under the videos tab for you. And you can watch the whole thing over there. I don't recommend it. It's an hour or more longer, but hey, if that's something you want to do, you're more than welcome to hop over there and do it. Here, I decided I really wanted the dragons to have some background, something besides just white. And I knew I did not want to color that whole background with Copic markers. Stamped the dragons onto masking paper, and when I cut them out, I cut inside the stamped line. By doing that, when I go to stencil the brick wall, it doesn't leave a gap between my images and what I'm stenciling. It stencils right up to the stamped line. So it really does give the look that the dragons are in front of the wall and not just surrounded by it. I have a white card base and I've used some black cardstock. I'm going to mat this, some liquid adhesive to the back of our colored stenciled image, and we're going to go ahead and place that on our card base. For the sentiment, the party part of the sentiment is from the stamp set itself. But Whimsy just released the mini alphabet stamp set, and I am so stinking excited about that stamp set because I love to create my own sentiments to go with my cards. So for this one, I decided I would do Party Like It's 1999. And after I did it, I really wished I had done some purple on those dragons, but you know. Maybe next time I'll do it and I'll do some purple on there. But I do love the way this turned out. I have to say that I am kind of proud of the way it turned out. It's not half bad. Definitely break out those pencils with those Copic markers or any alcohol markers. I love my polychromos for that. Here, I'm just coming in with my neutral grays and adding some shadow right behind them along the wall. Now, that's one of the things I wanted to point out about is that if you're going to do stenciling around images that you've colored with Copic markers, try to use your memento or alcohol friendly inks to do your stenciling, because then you can come back in and go over that with your alcohol markers if you want to, like I did there. I decided I needed to come in and create a little bit of shadow around the back of them. So because I used my memento inks, I didn't have to worry about it. I could just go right over that. Okay, like I said, if you want to watch the whole process, you can hop over to my website and check it out. I really appreciate you sticking around for this whole video. Is something new for me, and I was really happy with the way the card turned out. So I really wanted to share it with you all. Plus, I wanted to share my tips with you. I feel like it doesn't matter if you're perfect at coloring. There are things you can do to come in and make yourself happy with the end result. And that's what I do. I find things to do to my images that give me the result I want. And that's my biggest tip for you. Do what works for you. So I appreciate you joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, take care.